I'd like to talk with you a bit about the resource. Resource, sometimes is a bit intimidating because it makes us think that we need to know everything. As a coach, you don't need to know everything. As a Barnabas, you're just simply coming alongside to help. And so when you're trying to help people get connected to resources, the first thing is to make sure that they identify what do they already have. And the first question that I often like to ask people is who could help you with this? And very often the people have people in their life that have things to contribute, skills or talents or knowledge or other kinds of things that would be very useful. Sometimes they don't know, and so you might ask a question, well, who do you know that might know? And that often broadens the net a bit more. And I find for myself that's very helpful because I'm not really good at a database. People ask me, well, what resource do you have for this or that and the other thing? I tend to draw blanks on that. I guess that part of my brain just isn't well developed. But I do have connections with people who do know, or who would know who would know. So generally speaking, I can get almost anything that I need within 3 phone calls. And what's it, the various connections in the world, you can get connected with anybody on the planet in 6 connections. So you don't usually need to go to 6 connections, usually 3 will do it. And that's a very helpful thing. Sometimes you have to start thinking about what assets do you already have? What resources are already at your disposal? And those resources could be time, it could be relationships, it could be old equipment that's hanging around, it could be talents that you used to have, or used to like to do and just haven't had time to do it more recently. So as you're exploring with people what do they have, that will help them a lot in terms of getting connected. And I always explore those positive kinds of things first rather than focusing on what do you need, because what you need then tends to collapse people's vision. And so in the whole resource area, that's a place to think about. And as you think about what they already have, then they can begin to be creative in putting things together in a process that be able to help them be able to move forward. John Wesley said that if God's commanded you to do something, then it must be possible. And that's true, isn't it? Because if God wants you to walk in a particular direction or to do a particular thing, then He must already have provided at least enough to get started, which might mean having a conversation with somebody or picking up a book to read or interviewing some people that are doing some things in that area. There's any number of ways that you can get started in this. So don't feel like you have to be the answer person, but rather could even explore with that person what assets, what resources do they have at their disposal. And then of course after unpacking theirs, if you have something that you can contribute that would be helpful, by all means do that. So that's what resource is all about, just helping people to get the stuff that will enable them and help make their journey a little bit easier and a little bit more fruitful as they move forward.